Hello YouTube and welcome back. This is Nico and you're watching Dare to Game. Today we are going to be going through the 10 things you need to know about Total War 3 Kingdoms before you get it. So let's jump right into it and get you in the know. Number 10, it's a first for this series. So what do I mean by that? Simply put, out of all the Total War games, we have never gotten one in the massive part of the world known as China. I know you've probably never heard of it, but it's a very large part of the world. 3 Kingdoms is the first Total War game to be set in China, with the tactical action framed around what Creative Assembly describes as one of the most turbulent times in Chinese history. It's difficult to believe that it has taken this long for the studio to get here. China is unquestionably one of the most requested locations for the studio to settle on, offering an aesthetically diverse array of battlegrounds, a roster of rich historical characters to become acquainted with, and a host of well-storied conflicts that can be easily leveraged for Total War's typically large-scale battles. It is, as lead writer Pete Stewart told us, sort of the perfect Total War setting. The game will pick up in 190 AD, just as the notorious Han Dynasty is on the verge of collapse. There will be 11 different playable characters that will be trying to make a kingdom out of the ashes. So it will feel just like a Total War game should. Number 9, this game has been in the tubes for a while. So, saying this game has been a long time coming is a bit of an understatement. It has already been 6 whole years since Creative Assembly's last historical game, Total War Rome 2. Or, as I call it, Rome 2 Total War. It just rolls off the tongue better that way, doesn't it? The developers have stated that they are trying to reinvigorate the franchise with this game, by drawing from all their experience. The new formula is supposed to be comprised of many game elements from the franchise thus far, as well as some new formulas they have experimented with in the last several years. So this game will push the franchise into a new direction, but for better or worse is still to be determined. Number 8. 3 Kingdoms is far more character-driven than previous titles. The focus is wholeheartedly on character as a driving force for the action. The large-scale, real-time combat and turn-based tactical strategy that the series is famed for is still in place, but now all of that is driven through unique personalities and the relationships that they force along the way. It's been a challenge for Creative Assembly to find the right balance between these elements. In a way, this is the first Total War title that is focused on very strong characters. We've had previous titles like Attila and Napoleon that have taken on a character's defining moment in history, but 3 Kingdoms is trying to bring multiple characters to life, Stewart considers. This whole period isn't defined by one person, they are all competing to define it. So I expect that this title will feel very different from what we have already gotten used to over the years. But this paradigm shift may change more than many are ready to accept. Number 7, 3 Kingdoms is built on the same foundation as WARHAMMER. Unlike Rome 2, where the player selected an entire faction to play as, this game will have you selecting a specific character and a handful of retinues to play from in the campaign. Your character can die, so it will be important to have an heir lined up before any dangerous conflict. Also, the developer stated that this game will maintain many, if not all, the changes made to the engine for Warhammer. So, if you liked Warhammer, this should be good news. If not, then oof. Walter has also been quoted as saying, the main engine is developed in a modular way, and each project which basically takes the torch forward, he says, adding, there's an exchange of ideas and expertise between the teams. We're looking at what Warhammer is doing and building on those ideas. So this is right from Walter's mouth. Number 6. 3 Kingdoms sees the return of unit formations. Each of the generals that are available to you in 3 Kingdoms are trained in the art of war, and will bring their own specialties and tactical knowledge to your army. Creative Assembly is reflecting this in a very real way here, putting more work than ever into unit formations and glorious micromanagement. Unlike the Total War Warhammer games, unit formations are indeed returning to give an extra layer of tactical veracity to the gameplay, although these will need to be learned, passed down from the generals to the soldiers. The better you integrate the various hero characters into your army, then the better prepared for battle across the campaign they will soon become. In addition to this, social dynamics are always at play. When entering a battle, you will be able to take up to 3 hero units with you. This will give you more options on the battlefield and allow you to directly determine what types of troops you are taking with you. However, you need to watch these heroes closely, because they will not always play nice, and conflicts can spill over into the turn-based game out of the real-time battle. Number 5. There are character classes, and they are important. As stated previously, you will be picking out of 11 characters in the campaign for this game. But more importantly, each one actually falls into one of 5 distinct character classes. These classes are Commander, Champion, Sentinel, Strategist, and Vanguard. Each of these effectively offers a different playstyle and therefore a different way to tackle Total War. You'll need to utilize tactics that better suit your chosen general, keeping an eye out for unique items and mounts to make them even more powerful. Each commander has their own skill tree, letting you advance 5 active and 5 passive abilities to better shape their versatility in the field as you see fit. This will have a huge impact in the Romance campaign, where generals can be the difference between a win and a loss, though their power is mitigated in the traditional Historic campaign. Number 4, you can strip the game back if you want. It's worth noting that while a lot of the focus, particularly when it comes to the ways in which Creative Assembly demos the game, has been on the Romance mode, the studio is keen to stress that Classic mode is still the Total War game that you veteran players know and love. There's still a lot of time, care, and attention going to this core way to play the game. If anything, it puts more attention and focus on some of the minutiae. For example, the artificial intelligence has been overhauled, requiring a clear attention to detail and sharp reactions to fend off encroaching armies. The engine can now render out thousands of authentically designed warriors on screen at once, and there's a day and night cycle that changes the composition of battles. In spite of all of these big sweeping changes to the core dynamic, Classic mode will still be the Total War you know and love. You won't be able to rattle through dozens of enemies at a time, nor will they be as impervious to damage from regular units as they are in the Romance offering. In fact, generals will come with bodyguards in the Classic configuration to better depict how these characters were treated at the time. We've been told that elements of Three Kingdoms, such as random events, the appearance of certain characters, and the implementation of broader elements from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel, won't appear in the Classic campaign. If you want your campaign to be pure, the option is certainly there for it. So, if like me, you don't like change, this should be good news. I'm just hoping the Classic mode is more like Medieval 2 than Rome 2. Number 3, you can duel other heroes to the death. Given the mythical nature of these generals and the power they can have over the turn of battle in Romance mode, you'll be happy to know that there are ways to take rival generals out of play. It's a risky maneuver, putting your own hero at risk, but it can also so often turn the entire tide of a battle. You can challenge a rival on the battlefield to a duel as the battle rages on around them. The two characters meet and immediately engage in a fight to the death, and in the preview I saw, this was an extremely interesting sight to behold. One of my favorite, in fact. You'll also be able to activate abilities in the fight to try and help your hero out, though its win conditions are ultimately a blur of class experience and morale. Kill a hero's brother, for example, and you should expect to see them launch into a near-unstoppable grief-fueled frenzy. Dueling is by far one of the best changes this game will field, at least in my opinion. Number 2, this game will act as a great entry point for new players. Out of every Total War game that has been released in the last 19 years, I think Three Kingdoms is going to be the best and smoothest experience for newcomers to the genre. This appears to be the intentional move by Creative Assembly to try and attract new players while still maintaining their core fanbase. So it's not like we aren't good enough, they just want us to make some new friends. All joking aside though, they are concerned about how easily new players can become involved in their games, and learn to enjoy the experience. They think that often Total War is seen as a very strategic, half-historical simulation, but it is very much a personal game about characters, and that's especially true with Three Kingdoms, at least according to Burroughs, who also noted that while a lot of work has been done to gradually introduce the systems and to scale the difficulty in a more effective manner, all of it is driven through those heroes. Creative Assembly knows that its games can look overly complex and imposing on the surface. It too is aware of how difficult they could be to play, particularly for new players. The focus this time around has been on reworking the opening hours of the campaign, especially in Romance mode, to bring players of all experience into the fold. The devs commented that previous games were like throwing someone into a burning building before teaching them how to fight a fire. However, for those of us who know how to play the games already, the transition should be just as smooth and pain-free as usual. Number 1, you cannot trust anyone in this game. This period of history came to be defined by bloodshed and betrayal. Total War has the former, with its ridiculous battles that pit tens of thousands of soldiers against one another in active combat. But it now has the latter too, introducing a system that allows you to implant operatives within enemy armies and bring them down from the inside. Though, the same can also happen to you. You've got to constantly wrestle with the idea that someone in your faction might be a spy, teases Stewart, who tells us that players will need to be careful and pay attention to who they are promoting in their ranks. There's an element of difficulty and challenge in that system, especially as you keep progressing through the campaign. It's one of the big things to be excited about. it makes the characters feel like they're actually part of the world. It appears that the developers have put special focus into integrating the heroes, politicians, and spies into the action this game, instead of them being a separate factor. It seems that they will now be up front and center in all of the action. Well, I feel that this is a comprehensive enough list of things you should know before jumping into Total War 3 Kingdoms. If you have played previous games in the franchise and enjoyed the game, I would say that you will likely enjoy this one. If you did not like Rome 2 or Warhammer, you may not really like this one as much as previous titles, but there is always hope. Lastly, if you have never played a Total War game, but you want to try one, this is the one for you. So, best of luck to you, and may the odds be ever in your favor, or something. Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. If you did, I can assume you liked the content, and hopefully you'll subscribe and turn on the notification bell. If you haven't already, check out these links I have on the screen to see me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you like my content and would like to support what I do here, there's a link to my Patreon account in the description, and a donation would be much appreciated. In any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day.